The conviction part is complete. The jury that convicted Nidal Hassan of the deadly shooting he admitted to at Fort Hood, Texas, now must decide if he gets the death penalty or life in prison. There are 13 members on that panel, and they meet tomorrow in the now penalty phase of his court-martial. The former Army psychiatrist found guilty Friday of 13 counts of murder in that mass shooting back in 2009. Let's talk to our legal panel. Keisha Hebben is a defense attorney and former prosecutor, and David Schwartz is a defense attorney and former prosecutor as well. Esteemed panel today. Thanks to both of you for coming in.
Thank you.
Let's start by talking about this death penalty case and the fact, David, that they must sit again now and make a judgment. The families will speak. He may speak too. They want justice. The death penalty is it for some. That makes him a martyr in his mind. A life sentence is it for others? What will they be thinking about? How do they weigh and balance?
Well, look, they're going to weigh the mitigating factors versus the aggravating factors. Obviously, the aggravating factors are the heinous part of this crime and the amount of victims and the mass shooting of this particular crime. It's so horrible, weighed against all the usual factors of not giving someone the death penalty, their psychological condition, the fact that he was representing himself during this entire trial. He didn't have real legal counsel with him there. He could have. So, look, there'll be a lot of factors. I personally think that life in prison will be justice enough.
It's rare, Keisha, that a defendant says, I want death.
Right, right. And that's
how do you weigh that? Give him what he wants?
I think what the family members are going to talk about is that they don't want that, because that won't be justice in their eyes. But one of the things we have to think about is, in order to sentence him to death, there has to be a unanimous jury finding that there was a premeditated murder, and then an additional finding of a murder. And in this case, as David just stated, there's enormous evidence to show that this man premeditated it. He wants to die. So it's almost like the jurors' hands are tied. They're going to have to come back with the death penalty. Doesn't mean it's going to happen anywhere in the near future, but I think
let's assume they come back, David, with a death penalty ruling. It doesn't end there.
Oh, no.
Some people may think, oh, next month he'll get lethal injection. The military hasn't executed anybody that's been convicted of murder in a very long time.
Since the 1960s.
1961. And it has to go, people may not understand, through an automatic appeal with the military system of justice, and then beyond that, a civil appeal, and the president has to sign off on it. I don't want to get political, but the president still calls this workplace violence.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact that in this particular case the president has to take the affirmative act to sign off on it, that will be a very rough decision for any president, whether it's this president or another president at some point. Now, the defendant will be entitled to a number of appeals. There'll be a myriad of appeals. And I just think that morally we can't be in the business of executing criminal defendants.
But unfortunately,
look at the victims. Can I put the victims back up again? Because these people lost their lives. They're dead. Right. They're gone. Their families are grieving. This is going on a very long time. And the appeals, Keisha, what would you expect? That automatic appeal could go on, they say, for decades.
Right. It can take numerous years, and it's a process, and then you have to wait for briefs to be submitted, and then the appellate division will make a decision, but it doesn't happen overnight, especially in a capital case. And I think with this situation, the only justice that will be given to the family members if the death penalty is warranted is that it won't happen right away, and he will suffer and spend, like you said, decades in prison.
And do you think he would represent himself on the appeals as well?
I'm sure.
It seems that he wants to represent himself. It also is much more costly to keep somebody on death row than in the regular system.
Right. And the fact that he represented himself at trial says to me something's not right. He probably could care less. He's not taking this process serious, so he's probably going to just write it out and represent himself on appeal. And
the judge has no say in this, David. This is different.
Right.
It's up to these members on this panel, knowing that the military has not gone forward with an execution in so long, even though there have been court-martials and capital cases. Should that weigh in on their decision?
I think a lot of factors are going to weigh in on their decision. Certainly, as Keisha laid out, the technical aspects are there to grant death, but it's really within the purview of these jurors, and they're going to take into account a lot of, environmental factors here, including that fact, I believe.
Yeah,
Quick decision, or
I think that because of the circumstances of this heinous crime, the jurors will feel somewhat and obligated to come back with a death penalty sentence, but they will also have that moral issue and feel bad for the family members. But how can you not apply the harshest sentence to such a horrible crime?
an admitted mass murderer? You have to wonder what will happen, and we will know maybe as early as Monday. Thanks for weighing in,
Thank
David
you.
and
Thanks
Keisha.
for having us.
Always great legal counsel from these two. Appreciate it.